Learned from the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in on February 10th, 2021, and the stock market is melting up. And I got 3 stocks that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow. But today was a wild day in the sense of commodities. You saw a lot of activity this week and even today with energy. We saw the dollar drop. You even see everything with Bitcoin and kind of the follow through with that. But even though we have earnings, most of what has been driving the market has been responding to some of these outside factors or broader things to look at. Or if anything, the market has kind of been in this slow up mode, but we have a lot of correlations or leaders in the form of energy and other commodities. So we have a lot to talk about. I want to go over what happened in the market today, what we're looking at coming into tomorrow, the plays, and then everything else for the rest of the week. So I hope you're ready, but let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free $99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/the-stock-market. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life, and yes. This video is brought to you by our unofficial sponsor. Well, they didn't sponsor us, but Ethan Allen, the leader in cryptocurrency. Did I say that right? And the most important thing you need to do, post your watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So, right off the bat, we have a lot to talk about. Before I even get to the screen with the keys, I want to talk about this whole commodity thing. And one thing I brought up today, you can watch Exxon here, XOM, but we saw energy go down today, but you could even see it here. There was a really big correlation, or at the very least, I saw that oil was leading the market. So you could even bring it up on futures. And even as you've been seeing how these last few days have been trading, oil is a very, very big part of this. So again, the market has kind of been going up. Remember, the dollar was shooting up. We did kind of come up from a little bit of a hiccup here not too long ago. But now the question is, what could be bringing up markets? There has been a really, really big run up with energy, commodities. You've been seeing silver go up, and now even Bitcoin and all of this other stuff. So factor that into the stimulus, everything else. These have been the main things moving the market. And overall, the main focus has been these commodities. So we are going to have a big earnings week next week, but we are still going to see these factors play in. I probably think for the next few weeks, or if you see any of them reverse, they could affect the market. But this week, haven't really got any other news. Again, we're waiting for some inflation data. There's everything that's been going on with the stimulus, all of that. But overall, the market has been responding pre and post market, kind of moving a little bit weird throughout the middle of the day, and then it will kind of just take off right there at the end. And we're seeing some of the biggest correlations into other assets which have moved a lot. So that's the main thing for this week. But as far as even today, you had the Trump impeachment start, but I would say that this is a non-event for the market. And even if you really want to look at it, a lot of the political news in 2021, it has not drawn any sort of market reaction except for stuff like weed and energy. And yes, I'm talking about weed, marijuana, because today all of those stocks popped off. Remember, we heard a lot about talks about legalization, and even guys like Schumer and all of that brought it up. We saw run-ups in that industry. You've been watching energy stocks, and even that's what you saw big moves in today. And again, oil, energy, and then also the renewables, solar, EV, all of that. Those have really been the only things we've seen that have moved the market as far as politics is concerned. So we will see if any black swan develops, but it looks like we're not really expecting anything else. And I really wouldn't give any of that other stuff too much attention, because what happens with these commodities, and then if it factors in the currencies in other countries, that probably might give us a little bit more insight or something that would make the market respond. But that was for today. And then finally, for the rest of this week, even getting ready for next week, watch the rotation into value stocks. And this is what I'm going to be looking at. And then for investors to also, at the same time as they get into value stocks, it looks like people are making plays on some of these companies with earnings this week and next week. And then the companies that have already reported, they're pretty much reacting to the broader market and acting as sympathy plays unless they're having specific news. So looks like we got a pretty straightforward week. If we see any big moves in asset classes, that is probably going to be something that will carry over in other markets. Otherwise, it's going to be this kind of minor focus on earnings and putting us into this melt up mode. So picking and choosing will be key. So I hope you're ready, but that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I have 3 different plays. It is not letting me go here. Hold on. There it is. The first one I want to be looking at is Intel. I made this play today. I think it was a weird play simply because this news came out that they're delaying their 7 nm chips. I think that means nanometer. I'm not that savvy. You know what I'm saying? Some of you guys are. But this has been talked about a lot, even by AMD, and even AMD had a reaction as this news came out. But that news came out, the market didn't respond to it. Then there was a really big drop. We were able to snake the chain. So I just kept that play small. I bought like 35-cent option. But then people started saying the news was recycled and all of this. It was very, very weird, but I still like the play. So I want to see how that plays out just because anything with those chips, it's been talked about and the stock has reacted. So you can kind of see here, it was very, very big. We caught it early, but you didn't even see it react. That was probably the weirdest part about the whole play. But I grabbed 2 of the 57 puts for next week for 39 cents. They went up to even like 70 cents. I could have made them free, but I didn't. So I'm still holding that play. And then the next play that I made, and the next one I want to watch tomorrow, is going to be Square. You can see here, I'll tell you the play and then I'll get into the explanation. I grabbed 5 of the February 19th 320 calls and I spent 27 a pop for them. But I even talked about this while I was getting them. I don't like this timing because these are just next week options. We are already almost halfway through February, but it seems like a lot of the chains, I'm not seeing April contracts, and then the Marches are really expensive. Square is expensive to play in and of itself, but this was my play for Bitcoin. Again, we were talking about if you see a little gold rush with it or how Wall Street reacts, but I just didn't like the timing on it, and this trade may even take a week or two. You might see Wall Street burn one, then all of a sudden you might kind of start see it come back in another wave. So I am going to look for similar plays. This was the second play though. I talked about this logic yesterday and just getting some exposure to that type of trade, so I like it. So that is going to be the second play I'm going to be watching. As far as the third play, Uber and Lyft. So Lyft came out with earnings and they had guidance pretty much saying, I think they said they could almost guarantee it because they're doing cost-cutting measures, but the guidance is now that Lyft will become profitable this year or coming in early in the next year. So that sent Uber up. I think both of them went up. Lyft is a little bit different than Uber. Again, we have Uber and now you're going to see Uber's earnings. And this is what I was talking about. I kept saying it on stream today. We already have our plays in the money we're holding on. But I said, if you want to play Uber, this is going to be your last chance to do it. You guys are like, why? Uber reports tomorrow after hours. But you see here after hours, this thing already shot up 6% because of that positive news from Lyft. So this is why we call it a sympathy play. So Lyft is up 11%. Uber is now up 6%. And then they're going to have their report tomorrow. So I will watch both of these. I think Uber might trade on its own tomorrow. But then I want to see if you see any sort of continuation out of Lyft. But I'm still holding those plays. Again, you guys have seen these. We made these free. We have almost $8,000 in free Uber contracts. So these are the money on 3 contracts. I'm going to make dollar for dollar plus whatever premium is thrown on 3-year contracts or 2 years, I guess, at this point. But that is going to be the third play. And then finally, EZGO, baby. It finally didn't get halted, and I'm just simply positive on this. So I want to watch this one. Hopefully it goes up, and why I say I want to watch this, why I'm even putting it up here, this is a small float company, but then it's moved up a lot. I even think today I went up 25%. So if it goes up another 25% or 50%, even hopefully, I don't know about 100%. I think it did go to like $19 at one point when we did trade it. Something ridiculous, but going to keep a watch on this. Hopefully we can make it free, but remember we did that average down, so I'm still holding those shares. I want to even look at the options on that one, maybe either sell covered calls or see how we could kind of finesse it in general. And then finally, I didn't put it on here. I probably should have. Weed stocks, those are going pretty crazy. I don't have any I want to trade, but I'm looking at them. Do I even think you should trade them? No, but they are getting a lot of attention right now. Again, I think as we get into more politics, that will be key to watch. So watch all of those. And as far as everything else, you can kind of even tie into the weed ones. Watch DraftKings. I like it, but they got clapped here end of the day. Apparently, there was bad Texas news, and it was pretty much hinting that it could hurt legalized gambling or any of those talks up until 2023. Some people were saying it was only for horse betting or a lot of different things. So it was very interesting, but every single time it has got up here, it's gotten clapped by something. So like I said, if it gets past 64, that's a very key level on DraftKings. But the one thing I really don't like about it is every time it's gotten up here, there has been really, really bad news. In this case, it was follow-on offering, and then they paired it with the lockup expiring. So we'll see what happens there. But watch DraftKings, watch Snapchat. I really like them. They hit a 52-week high and then kind of sold off today, but Twitter had bad earnings. So that is going to be key to watch. Again, you guys saw the Uber and Lyft one. So Twitter is going to be interesting. Do I think it will affect? Oh, that's Tesla. Do I think it will affect Snapchat? Probably not as much. And the only bad part about Twitter was their user growth was kind of declining, or they were worried about it. And given Twitter has a pretty much a smaller United States base than even Snapchat, you know, that's one of the biggest fears for any social media company is if you're kind of already at the bottom of the list with daily active users and then you're not able to grow. I mean, what's the next step? You don't want to go extinct, but that probably won't happen for Twitter. At least we'll see. And that's why people are watching the numbers, but it did bounce up. So I want to watch how they play out. Watch Square, Intel, like I said. I'm going to be keeping an eye on oil and just how it trades with the overall market. If it becomes a lagger or a leader, that's one thing I really want to watch. Watch Baidu and Baba. Baidu has earnings, I believe, this week, but they really had the ramp up even after dropping. I mean, I can't believe we sold that one lead. That was like a 240, 260. Would have been making a lot more on that one. So that one's great. Even Baba bounced. There was some weird antitrust news, and even coming to Tesla, even though like MSTR and some of those other Bitcoin companies ramped up today, Tesla went down, and there was talks about Chinese regulators, some of the quality controls with Tesla and their vehicles, but we also saw some antitrust, monopoly stuff concerns that were brought up with China over the weekend. So it's interesting to see how these stocks have been trading. Baba, JD, Baidu, all that. So watch them. Watch Walgreens. Our plays are still holding up. It closed up decent. It was up a little bit more. I'd watch it again. They even had some announcement with them and Uber, but it didn't really drive the stock up. But keep your eye on this to see if it could kind of get into that earnings or that value rotation mode. And that is really going to be the key, looking out for that. So watch them. Watch Boeing. They had some news today about F-15s. They started going up. A lot of people were asking about it, but overall the velocity was really, really low. So I didn't think it was a play, but we'll see. Again, if they're able to kind of change this momentum, you can see how it looks at the chart. It's interesting. And then on that same note, I would apply that even to Zoom. I have those puts that are still up. They have time. So I want to see when Zoom's earnings are, but you could kind of see, watch for anything to kind of change trends or if they kind of stay in this new range. I mean, you're going to see one more month goes by. It's about to enter a new season here. This year is kind of going by a little bit quickly here. So watch how those play out. Watch AMD again. That's related to that Intel play. I'll see how that is. And then finally, the dollar, like we were saying yesterday, Bitcoin effect has finally caught up with it. And now this time too, it makes sense with TLT a little bit. It kind of held up. So probably the next move we see with the dollar or TLT, if it's big, that might be a more telling move, because right now we were just watching them diverge. You see what happened with the market. Now it looks like they're converging. The key is what happens next. But now this ties into all of the mania that's going on with commodities, because that is directly tied into the dollar and bonds. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're hydrated, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you to keep going, baby. You got to keep going and don't look back. But the code loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.